By 2014, Bellator MMA was considered one of the sport's surprising success stories, emerging from humble beginnings to become the second biggest promotion in the world. And with huge financial backing and one of the sport's best minds at the helm, the sky was the limit for the Connecticut enterprise. Today, we look at the second half of the Bellator story, a 9-year run of bad luck and questionable decisions that turned the company into one of MMA's most unfortunate punchlines. Welcome to the INC, and this is the story of the Scott Coker era of Bellator. Before deciphering Bellator's downfall, it's important to remember how it reached its peak in the first place. The company had been formed in 2009 by former boxing executive Bjorn Rebney, who, in response to the sport's recent failings, devised a promotion that placed sustainability and meritocracy at its forefront. Over the next 5 years, the tournament-based league earned a cult following among the MMA community, thanks to its mix of exciting fights and homegrown talent including Michael Chandler, Patricio Pitbull, and Ben Askren. By 2011, Bellator's success had attracted the attention of media giant Viacom, who purchased a controlling stake in the promotion with the aim of filling the void left by the UFC's TV deal with Fox. Viacom's ambitions, however, soon hit a major stumbling block. While the company had the financial backing to sign big names, most notably Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson, many potential signings were thrown off by the promotion's tournament structure, one Rebney was unwilling to part with due to his belief in the concept. It came to a head in June 2014 when Rebney and company CEO Tim Donaher were relieved of their services. Bellator now needed a figurehead to spearhead their bid to surpass the UFC, and who better than one of the men who came closest to doing it before? Scott Coker first formed Strikeforce as a kickboxing promotion in the 1980s before turning its attention to MMA after the sport was legalized by the state of California. For 5 years, Strikeforce held status as the sport's second biggest promotion, thanks to its combination of exciting local talent and weight classes previously overlooked by the UFC. In 2011, Strikeforce's owners sold the promotion to the UFC's parent company Zuffa, effectively axing Coker from the promotion before it was absorbed into the UFC. With their financial backing and Coker's reputation for shrewd matchmaking, Viacom believed they had a man capable of taking Bellator to the next level, one more than happy to apply their vision for the promotion. The tournament format was scrapped by the time Coker helmed his first card at Bellator 123, with Patricio Pitbull regaining his featherweight title against Pat Curran, and the company debut of former WWE star Bobby Lashley. While Lashley's signing should have been a warning, the first sign of the new Bellator came minutes after his fight, when the company announced an upcoming bout between Tito Ortiz and Ultimate Fighter legend Stephan Bonnar. Bonnar borrowed heavily from the pro wrestling playbook to sell the fight, mocking Tito's failed marriage, as well as a bizarre unmasking stunt involving former training partner Justin McCulley.
Who could it be? It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a...
Ortiz would win a largely forgettable bout by split decision, but the higher-than-average TV numbers saw the company consider the gimmick a success. It would be the template for Bellator's business model over the next 2 years. Veteran names and over-the-top promotion, even if the end product was less than satisfying. It led to 3 of the most infamous fights in company history, when 51-year-old Ken Shamrock was coaxed out of retirement to face social media star Kimbo Slice. Shamrock seemingly had the match won by taking Kimbo down and actively searching for a rear naked choke, only for Kimbo to return to his feet and finish Shamrock midway through the first round. The fight was immediately speculated to have been a work, with viewers noticing Shamrock and Kimbo talking to one another during an early clinch exchange, and Shamrock having experience of worked shoots during his time in pro wrestling. The fight led to further scrutiny over Kimbo's combat career, having been embroiled in a similar scandal during his brief boxing career in 2012. The two men would reunite 8 months later at Bellator 149, with Kimbo facing fellow Street Fighter Dada 5000 and Shamrock facing fellow aging icon Royce Gracie. Gracie would finish Shamrock to end the two's 20-year rivalry, but his victory was overshadowed by Kimbo's match with Dada in the co-main event. What was billed as a slugfest became one of the worst fights in MMA history, as both men gassed almost immediately, resorting to slow haymakers that looked like they were thrown underwater, before a gassed Dada collapsed from exhaustion midway through the third round. It was later found Dada suffered a cardiac arrest and kidney failure during the fight, one which was later ruled a no contest after Kimbo tested positive for elevated testosterone levels in a pre-fight drug test. At 2.4 million viewers, Bellator 149 broke the record as the most watched card in company history, leading to Bellator doubling down on veteran talent with the signings of Chael Sonnen, Wanderlei Silva, and Fedor Emelianenko. All three would appear on the main card of Bellator NYC, the company's debut at the fabled Madison Square Garden, and their first pay-per-view since Rebney's final show in 2014. What should have been a statement of intent would instead encapsulate the worst of the promotion, from Fedor's double knockdown against Matt Mitrione to Michael Chandler losing his lightweight title after a fluke injury against Brent Primus. The card also featured the debut of Aaron Pico. The 20-year-old was regarded as one of the sport's biggest ever prospects, with many believing Bellator had pulled a masterstroke in coaxing the fighter away from the UFC, only for his company bout to turn to disaster after a 20-second loss to Zach Freeman. While his first impression was far from satisfying, Pico would become the figurehead to the second half of Coker's recruitment policy, signing raw prospects early in their career and using clever matchmaking to build them from the ground up. The most successful of the crop was AJ McKee, son of former UFC veteran and scourge of casual MMA fans, Antonio McKee. While his father was known for his boring lay-and-pray style, AJ became one of the company's most exciting talents, thanks to his mix of explosive knockout power and tricky submission game. McKee would win his first 18 matches under the Bellator banner, culminating in 2022 when he beat Patricio Pitbull to win the company's featherweight title. Another homegrown success story was far less expected. Ilima-Lei Macfarlane had initially been signed after her debut match went viral on social media, only for the company to realize she was an Eddie Bravo black belt and training partner of Liz Carmouche. Macfarlane would win her first 6 matches with the promotion to earn a title shot at Bellator 186, defeating Invicta champion Emily Ducote to win the company's inaugural flyweight title. Coker had found massive success with his women's division in Strikeforce, and with the UFC having not yet established flyweight and featherweight, capitalized by introducing his own versions of the classes. While Macfarlane ruled the roost at 125, the first featherweight crown fell on Strikeforce veteran Julia Budd, part of the Canadians' 9-year winning streak, before being succeeded by women's MMA legend Chris Cyborg. Along with the women's divisions, Coker would borrow from the Strikeforce playbook with his reliance on tournaments. In 2018, the company held an 8-man Grand Prix to crown their vacant heavyweight champion, featuring a star-heavy lineup including Fedor Emelianenko, Frank Mir, and Chael Sonnen. It was the youngest man in the competition, however, who proved the most dangerous, as light heavyweight champion Ryan Bader proved size wasn't a factor by making comfortable work of his first 2 opponents before taking just 30 seconds to beat Fedor Emelianenko for the company title. Bader is one of only 2 men to become a double champion in Bellator and is widely regarded as one of the company's most successful UFC imports. By 2018, Bellator had found a healthy mix of UFC veterans and promising unknown talent, and backed by a surging bantamweight division, began to resemble something similar to Coker's golden years at Strikeforce. Despite this, the stigma of his early months in charge clouded Bellator's fan perception, with most seeing the company as an error-laden clown show of UFC washouts. The reaction, however, was much more positive overseas, as Coker's tenure saw Bellator make strides in expanding its reach outside mainland America. A feud between the UFC and the Irish MMA Federation led to Bellator becoming a fixture of the country's MMA scene, holding regular events in the nation along with signing several of their top stars, including former title challenger Peter Queally and Leah McCourt. A similar conflict saw the company make its first visit to Hawaii, becoming the first major promotion to visit the state since Rumble on the Rock a decade earlier. Hometown fighter Macfarlane made the most of the opportunity, defeating UFC title challenger Valerie Letourneau in the main event.
There it is! Let the luau begin! Ilima-Lei Macfarlane returns to Hawaii and defends the flyweight championship in style!
Another overseas visit had serious business implications. In 2018, Bellator announced a working agreement with Japanese promotion Rizin, allowing both promotions to trade talent between one another and leading to the company's first Japanese card on New Year's Eve 2019. The main event of the show marked a turning point in Bellator's recruitment policy when Fedor began his MMA retirement tour against Rampage Jackson. Rampage, a career 205er, entered the match having barely made the heavyweight limit, putting up little resistance before being finished by Fedor midway through the first round. Rampage was released from the promotion shortly after, leading Bellator to move away from signing big-name veterans, using the company for a quick paycheck. During the 2020s, Bellator began doubling down on its winning formula from previous years, with tournaments at light heavyweight, featherweight, and bantamweight, as well as an increased emphasis on unearthing unknown talent. The biggest hotbed during this time was Eastern Europe, with Vadim Nemkov, Yaroslav Amosov, and Khabib's cousin Usman Nurmagomedov all finding gold within the promotion over the coming years. While Bellator still recruited from the UFC, its focus shifted towards fighters which had been undervalued in the octagon. This included Sergio Pettis, who managed to emerge from his brother Anthony's shadow to become one of the company's most successful bantamweights. Not every signing, however, was a success. During this time, Bellator began experimenting with signing athletes from other combat disciplines with the aim of rounding out their skill sets and building them from the ground up. This included boxing champion Heather Hardy, jiu-jitsu loudmouth Dylan Dennis, and Pat Downey, the bad boy of amateur wrestling, suffering a first-round loss to Christian Eccles despite being a minus 1,500 favorite. By 2023, Bellator had a product seemingly worth watching, but it was actually tuning in that was the biggest issue. During the Coker era, Bellator was shifted around the TV schedules with alarming regularity, with spells on Showtime, Paramount Plus, and DAZN, as well as one-off CBS appearance for Fedor Emelianenko's retirement fight. The mistreatment led many to believe that Viacom no longer saw Bellator as integral to their brand, and rumors of the company being up for sale circulated the MMA community for years. It came to a head in October 2023 when Showtime revealed they were discontinuing their sporting division at the end of the year, just days after Bellator held their landmark 300th show in San Diego. It didn't take long for the vultures to circle, as shortly after Showtime's announcement, PFL boss Don Davis announced the company had purchased the promotion along with its remaining fighter contracts, most of which were canceled immediately due to fighters not wanting to be part of their tournament format. Due to the outstanding TV contracts, the PFL kept Bellator alive through 2024, with the name being used for 5 events as part of their short-lived Champion Series before the brand was formally put out to pasture. The last Bellator card therefore took place in September that year, with Sarah Collins defeating Leah McCourt in the main event to earn a match with Chris Cyborg. While Rebney's Bellator was an unlikely success story, Coker's version was one of missed potential. With huge funds and a savvy figurehead at the helm, the company had the makings of being a viable threat to the UFC, but their reliance on aging veterans early in their run damaged the company's reputation long-term, one they were never able to recover by the time they finally found their feet. With its mix of homegrown talent and all-action wars, Bellator deserves to be remembered as more than a hotbed for the goofy side of MMA. Besides, we've already got the UFC heavyweight division for that. This is the INC. Please like, share, and subscribe. Post your feedback in the comments and donate to our Patreon page for hours of exclusive content.